Welcome viewers to In Business. This is yet another episode on business. And today we are going to talk about business in a different format. Yes, we are going to talk to a person who is expert in teaching about business, and he's producing students who will be ultimately into the management of various corporates and companies in the country. Goa Institute of Management is the oldest institute in Goa as far as management is concerned, with a history of about 3 decades, about 28 years. It has a capacity of about 1,000 students studying here. And we will be talking about this institute to know more about it from Dr. Ajit Parulekar, who is the director of the Goa Institute of Management. Welcome, Dr. Parulekar, to our show In Business. Tell me something about Goa Institute of Management, which we may not have known about.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Sahai, for having me on the show. It's really a pleasure to be here. The Goa Institute of Management is quite unique in many ways. It is one of the best known higher education institutions in Goa. We were started in the year 1993 by a Jesuit priest and a lot of well-meaning Goans who came and supported him. The good part is, whilst we are a private institution and we are an autonomous institution, we don't really have a single owner. So it's not like a private family-run kind of an institution. It has a lot of well-meaning people in Goa from across the country also who've come together to support the institute. The other good part about the institute is it didn't require an investment. It's an institute that, because of the reputation it built, it financially largely runs on its own.
So self-sustained.
Absolutely. It's a self-sustaining institution. And while it's a private institution, it's a 100% not-for-profit institution. So people on the board and the society, they don't take any sitting fees, no money, nothing at all. Anything, any surpluses that are generated get plowed back into the institution. And it's been built by a lot of people from Goa and across the country who've been very generous in giving donations in the early years to help us to set up the institute, including also the government of Goa that's really supported the institution. You would be knowing that, most people in Goa would know, till the year 2010, we functioned out of the old Ribandar hospital. And that's something that the government of Goa, supported us in, and that helped us build the institution in the earlier years. The only thing that we were very particular about is building a top-class higher education institution.
Where are you now? From Ribandar to where?
Yeah, so now we are in Sakli, and now when we are in Sakli, we have a nice 50-acre campus in Sakli. It's a beautiful place in, kind of under the backdrop of the Sahyadri Hills. It's a wonderful place for research and for academics. So when students as well as faculty are there, what they get to concentrate in the midst of nature is on management, on research, on business. That's really what they get to concentrate. We also, what we've been able to do is we've been able to expand a lot more. The reason to go to Sakli was because we realized in this heritage campus that we were not able to grow further just because of the campus constraint. So when we left this campus, we were admitting 120 students every year. This year we are admitting over 540 students. So you can see in just around 10 years, we've been able to admit a little over 4 times the number of students that we could. And the number of people who are applying to the program have also gone up, many-fold. And that's the thing for us. We've been able to serve a much larger number of students. In the process also, we've been able to build up. So today, we have one of the highest faculty to student ratios. We have 80 full-time faculty members who come from not only all across the country, but several of them also have studied in some of the best institutions worldwide.
That's what I wanted to ask you, that how Goa Institute of Management is different from other institute of managements in the country.
Yeah, so one of the ways I told you the structure we have. We are a private, not-for-profit autonomous institution which doesn't have like a owner family. Private institutions in India, generally a politician run or a businessman run. That's one uniqueness. The other thing that's unique is the kind of programs we offer. We realized around a decade back that management is getting specialized. And just having, so there are certain places where you need general managers. But there are things like, data analytics. Today, business is being driven by data analytics. Today, we look at banking. Bankers of the past were finance people. Bankers of today and tomorrow are not finance people because You're not going to have banks. You're not going to have banks in the way you currently look at it. You're seeing today banking is happening on mobile phones, on PTMs, on cards, on plastic, and that requires a lot of technology. So what we've been able to do is, over the last 6-7 years, our entire new programs are come in, so to say, high-tech new cutting-edge verticals. Like we did a healthcare management program we run, which is the country's top-ranked healthcare management program. We run a big data analytics program, which out of 50 big data analytics programs in the country, last year we were ranked number 4 in the country by Analytics India magazine and number 2 by the Analytics Insights magazine. And in 2020, we started a new age banking insurance financial services program. So basically a banking program, but not the traditional banking. Today, when you look at banking and technology, kind of the interface of that, that's really what it is. So this kind of a portfolio of new age programs is something that GIM is probably the only institute in the country who offers, programs like this.
So, as far as Goa is concerned, business is not as up to the mark as in the other parts of the country. Like we talk about Bangalore, Bombay, Telangana, Hyderabad, and all those places. They're doing far better and ahead than us in Goa. So, being a management institute, how do you manage for technical and practical training for the students and all, taking them to the various internship and all? How difficult it is for you?
Oh, so what you're saying is right. Goa doesn't have the, so to say, the breadth of the kind of industry exposure that students would have. There are few kinds of things, like let's say manufacturing, for example. There is some reasonable experience that students can get in an exposure, but the whole corporate functions that are there, marketing, advertising, finance, banking, strategy, that's something that's very limited exposure. So if you look at our students doing internships, internships are almost exclusively done in other parts of the country. So had we had more of that kind of industry in Goa, it would certainly be more beneficial to students. On every weekend, if you look at, we are running a lot of classes on weekends because we're trying to bring in people from Bombay, Delhi, Bangalore, Hyderabad to fly in, and these are very senior executives who will fly in and talk to students so that they, whatever they are missing out, they're able to get here. Had we been located in one of these metros, we would have these kind of people who would just be able to walk in from their offices, for 2-3 hours in the day, and that is something that there is a locational disadvantage. So if Goa had to give a much wider set of industry, we would certainly benefit, our students would benefit, our faculty would benefit.
Correct. Now, shifting to, something new which is happening now. We are talking about startup. Well, what we see that Goa Institute of Management, they have come up with a Atal Incubation Center recently, not very long ago.
Yes.
What do you think about the startup, ecosystem in Goa as a incubation center? And this is slightly different from your management institute, but how do you see the startup ecosystem in Goa right now?
Yeah, so I see that I can split that into two parts. One is how attractive is Goa as a startup ecosystem for anybody to come and kind of run a startup from here. And the second part I would look at as what has happened as far as the startup ecosystem for Goans starting their own startup. The first side, if I look at, it's vibrant. So it's vibrant in the sense that when you say startups, you're not saying people who start businesses. You're primarily looking at people who are solving societal problems using technology. And in the process, that's how businesses get done. So basically, there is a problem where you will find you're using technology to solve that problem, and that's the business opportunity, right? It's not doing something that's already been done and dusted, and kind of just finding you're serving a smaller market, that's not really what we're looking at. In that sense, therefore, startups become relatively, location agnostic. Goa is a fantastic place to live, for example, and therefore you find a lot of people who run startups which are location agnostic. They find Goa is a good place to be in.
We'll take a short break on this, and we'll come back after the break and continue with this so that we know more about the ecosystem from the director of Goa Institute of Management, Dr. Ajit Parulekar. Welcome back, viewers, after the break. Thank you for staying with us. So, this interesting conversation with our guest is continuing, and we want to know, what we left in the first half, and now we want to continue, is that he talked about the startup community which is coming from outside Goa and settling in Goa and working here. Now, in all probability, he will also speak about what is happening to the Goan startup as such. So, can you please elucidate?
So I find the Goan led startup economy is not doing all that great, right? We are not able to have most of the startups that are the big successful startups here are startups that are coming from outside to Goa, and there is a lot of appetite in Goa for starting startups. And I can tell you the appetite is because there are not great employment opportunities in Goa for people who are highly skilled. There are employment opportunities little lower down, but let's say students, for example, who pass out from GIM, pass out from BITS, pass out from IIT Goa, almost all of them have to look for competitive good career options outside Goa because those options are not there here. Most students today across different top institutions, their dream is not to do a job. Their dream is to start their own kind of ventures. And therefore, they're keen on coming back. So a lot of Goans will come back to Goa. And when they come back to Goa, startup seems to be the main solution as such for them. We need to get our policy right. We need to make sure that infrastructure is right. To me, if you have to really ask, the single biggest hurdle, lacuna, the issue where startups are not doing all that well is infrastructure that they'd require. So really, we look at communication infrastructure, the quality of internet, the quality of telecom is nowhere nearby what's good for a vibrant startup economy. We really need to be at least as good as what a Bangalore or a Hyderabad is going to be. If you're not going to be able to do that, you're not going to be having a vibrant startup economy. In addition to that, whatever the other incentives and policies, we have to make that ease of doing business should be higher there. For startups, it should be, you think of the problems that are going to arise, and there should be an infrastructure to take care of it, so that they are only concentrating. For a startup, it's really a tough journey. No startups have it easy. There are a lot of other struggles, but you should not have clerical struggles. You should not have land struggles. You should not have registration struggles. Those are things that I think, where the government should set up things.
So they already have the startup policy, but it needs to be properly implemented much better. And so that, the startups who are meant for that, for the benefit of them, they should really get the benefit out of it. Yes. And you rightly talked about connectivity. Connectivity is a major issue, despite Goa being a tourist state, with so many people coming and going out of the state. Connectivity is a major issue here. You can't even talk on a mobile phone for a long stretch of time. And suddenly it becomes sometimes very embarrassing that it seems that you have or I have disconnected the call abruptly. So that is quite a matter which has to be settled by the service providers. But coming to this, startup community in Goa, as you said, it is very vibrant as far as those who are coming from outside is concerned. I have an issue when Goa starts promoting as startup destination. There's a difference between startup promotion and startup destination. Are we going for destination or promotion? That is my question.
So I think we need to do both. I think we need to do both because for the Goan economy, unless and until the economy does well, you will find prosperity will not be there. You need to have economic prosperity, and for the economic prosperity, we have certain genuine issues. We have a much smaller land bank, and as a result of that, we really cannot attract certain industries. We have certain advantages which can also be disadvantages. We are a small populace. We are unlike India.
So as I said in the earlier program, Goa is 1/3 of the Bellary district of Karnataka.
Yes.
So we can imagine
and therefore, I think for us, for economic activity to happen, amongst the options that are there, so what we need really is smaller land kind of footprint, smaller people footprint, get high amount of productivity. And I think startups is one place where that is possible to do.
How is it possible, sir?
Because a lot of startups that come in,
They also need support, sir.
no, so they did. No, I'm not saying about that. I'm saying from looking at the industries that we should be attracting, I think startups would be a preferred industry to bring in than to bring in, heavy duty manufacturing. We don't have the capacity to do that heavy duty manufacturing. And therefore, I think, therefore as a startup destination, I'm in favor of the state being a startup destination. Of course, obviously you want homegrown startups to be also an equally important part, because the economy cannot only be through migration inside. That should be a small part of it. But I also think that you should be having homegrown startups that will happen. Today, the challenge is not money. So what's happening in the startup ecosystem is a lot of people think giving money and giving funds and all that, that's not the challenge. The challenge is to make sure that, everything else falls in place. The money will come. Today, there's a lot of money going around. People are willing to invest. If the ideas are right, the people are right, then the money is really there. So what's happening is, whether the center or the state, I think it's not about a money issue. So if you create more seed funds and you create, easier access of money, it's not going to work, because you'll find you'll give money to the people who don't deserve that kind of money. You have to give it, you have to be able to create, like for example, I said one thing is internet quality, telecommunication quality, back-end logistics support, ease of communication, access to all the support activities like, banking, access to technology, access to service providers, access to advertising agencies, all those kind of things need to be there in place for these people really to be able to prosper.
So we have to begin early. And early means once we pass out from grade 12th examination. Unfortunately, in Goa, my daughters have also gone out to study and do their, graduation from outside, because they were into technical study. So I saw that there is a dearth of higher education sector here in Goa. Had it been there, maybe we would have got more successful startups from here. But we go outside, we like that place, and then we settle there, and then we come back later, maybe we settle down there. So it's almost like a brain drain, what I see. I may be using a very sharp language, but it looks like that. How would you see, sir, the higher education? Where are we lacking there?
So I would say you're both right and wrong at the same time. So if you look at today technical education, Goa has outstanding engineering education today, options. I mean, you have an IIT, you have an NIT, you have a BITS, Goa campus, and you have, GEC. All four are very good quality, engineering schools. And therefore, for students who are looking at engineering schools, you will get world-class education here. Of course, there will be a small group of students who can also get into the MITs and IIT Bombay and IISc and places like that. But I find as far as technology, technical education is concerned, the Goa Institute of Management, as far as management education is concerned, we have some of the best institutions. The challenge that's there for the country and especially for Goa, if you look at commerce education, you look at science education, you look at arts, you look at design, you look at fashion, you look at law, you look at all of these, I think we need to bring world-class institutions here. And that's something that's not happening. And therefore happens that Goan students don't even go for those options because they're not available in Goa. And even though they have an inclination towards these fields, they don't choose those fields, or brain drain, as you said, they have to leave and go outside. There are few Indian cities really that have, it's only the couple of metros that have great quality, like the Lady Shri Ram College of Commerce in Delhi, Stephens, Xavier's, and then, there are a couple of colleges like that. Goa needs to make sure that those are the kind of colleges we have. More so, I think, let's say if you look at arts, for example, Goa has an outstanding, heritage and tradition of art. I mean, whichever kind of art. If you look at some of the top painters in the country, some of the top musicians in the country, you just name the cartoonists, you name the kind of art, and you find the whole, right from literature to fine art, all of that. Goa has had an immense tradition. We need institutions to...
So all these institutions can open a campus here in Goa and let the students study?
Yeah, I think that, you'll have to have both. Some homegrown institutions kind of develop and become even better there, and we must be open to attracting, top institutions. With the private university bill that we're looking at, That's what we should consciously make an attempt to bring in institutions in these disciplines, which are the best ones. Can we get an NID to set up a campus in Goa, for design? That could be something we're outstanding. Can we get a Sriram College or a Stephens to come and set up something in Goa? If we are looking at outside institutions coming to Goa, I think that's really what we should be looking at.
So how do you think that the business should grow in that direction? What should be the first step?
So business in what sense you're saying? For the
Business of academics coming to Goa, like institution opening their campuses here and admitting some seats, because that should be competitive anyway.
Absolutely.
India wide.
You're right in saying if you want a great quality institution, you cannot have it. Reservations don't work really well in terms of geographical reservations to have quality institutions. That's true. There are some challenges. The challenge is IIT Goa still doesn't have a campus, and therefore, I think if it's government institutions, we have to have some clear-cut policy on having maybe education estates that are developed. I find it, the state government did a great job by moving a lot of schools to the Kujira complex area. For higher education, if we can do something like that, that's how you're going to attract. Otherwise, what's going to happen is any top government institution, central institution that's going to come here is going to face the same challenge. I mean, it's a pity if you find 10 years later, if the institution has to, still not have a campus, it'll be difficult and it'll tell on quality of students that will pass out. So that I think is going to be an important challenge to look at.
On this note, we come to the end of this program, and we would like to thank our guest, Dr. Ajit Parulekar, for enlightening us in both in the business as well as the business of education and higher education, what could be the prospects for Goa, which is quite bright, shiny, provided a good and very thoughtful steps are taken so that it can come and make wonders for the Goan students themselves here. I wish you like this program, and I thank you for your time. Thank you, Dr. Ajit Parulekar, for giving us your time with In Business at Herald TV.
Thank you. My pleasure.